Good morning, lovely ladies and gents. This is Terry Fields, personal injury attorney here in Atlanta, Georgia, coming to you with some legal tips. All right, so today, as you can tell from the description of this video, we're going to be talking about trial. I'm going to give you an overview of trial. Okay, so we're going to talk about trial. First of all, I'm going to update you on some stuff about attorney's fees that I wanted to tell you. I thought about it when I was posting the video, like, oh, I forgot to mention X, Y, and Z. So I'm gonna, it may just be one thing. And there were several things I think I remembered, but right now I can only think of one thing. I should write this stuff down, I guess. So we're gonna finish up attorney's fees. I'm going to give you an overview of trial, and then we're going to talk about Howard Hughes again. We have we have like one more section about Howard Hughes, and then we can move on to other folks. Okay, so I took a day off yesterday, which I recommend for everybody. Take a day off. Don't even check email. Take that time. It is worth it. You deserve it. You don't want to get yourself burnt out. You want to be able to be productive, and rest is part of being productive. So we always want to do that. I have been watching and thinking about Sex and the City. I don't know if y'all watched this show. I did. I watched every episode. I watched all the movies, or both of the movies. And now there is this reboot coming out. And this morning I discovered there are several podcasts. I don't know why I didn't even think about this. Why wouldn't there be podcasts about the reboot? And so I started listening to, what is that? Oh, you can see my bottle. I started listening to this podcast about the reboot, and it's been very interesting to hear other people's take. But what I will say is the most recent episode came out yesterday. On Thursday mornings, I hop up out of bed and I get on my treadmill. That's the thing that I do on my treadmill, is watch the Sex and the City, the new episode. And just like that, I'm going to be very sad when these episodes are done. But the one thing that was noteworthy for me, I'm a married lady, and Miranda is unhappy in her marriage, and she was talking to her husband, and her husband was like, I just thought we were good. I thought what we do is we come home, we eat dinner, and everything is fine. And she's explaining about how she needs more and how she's unhappy and everything. And he was just like, well, I thought we were good. And so that made me think, I really love Steve, because that's how I am too. I feel like I'm so boring. Sometimes I ask my husband, are we boring? Do you feel like we're boring? We haven't even been married that long, but I personally am not one that needs to go places. I remember when the pandemic first came through, I was fine. Those people said stay home. I think I stayed home for a good 3 months straight. I mean, like, legit did not go anywhere. Got my groceries delivered. Did not go anywhere for 3 months or so, maybe even more. And still to this day, I'm very trepidatious, even though I have traveled now. I have been on planes, but I am very trepidatious about going places. You know what? I am just so surprised at how red this color is, but it shows up as completely neutral on my eyes. And I was thinking the other day, like, why am I even doing this? Why am I even using this? Because you can't even see it, but I like it. Shows up completely neutral on my eyes. So anyway, this is what you came for. Let me get to the point of the story, the moral of the story for today. We're going to be talking about attorney's fees. I just wanted to tell you this last little piece. Sometimes you might get an attorney, and I've done this, and other attorneys have done this. I have done this both ways. Your attorney may get another attorney in to help your case, to work on your case. Like, just say, for instance, I have an expertise that someone else doesn't, or vice versa. We can call on each other. Attorneys have a very small community. We all know each other, and we know, hey, Bob over here, he specializes in these kind of cases. And it's helpful because if you're working on 5 cases that are similar, it's economy of scale to go ahead and work on a 5th case or a 6th case that's kind of like the one that you're already working on. So attorneys might talk to each other and say, hey, you're working on this case. I have one like it. Why don't you work on that one too? And so we will, what we call associate one another is permitted by the Georgia Bar. When that happens, the attorneys will agree amongst themselves to split the fee. I think that's what I wanted to do there. To split the fee amongst themselves. That does not impact you at all. as the client. Has nothing to do with you. You would still, ouch. You would still get the same payout. It does not impact you at all. You know, okay, so I think I am at the point where I probably need to get some new foundation. And I am so glad that I'm looking at my tutorials and stuff, because I forgot about that stick foundation. I think it's easier to control. And I don't think I've ever seen it. A lot of drag queens use it, and I hope it's not stage makeup and real, because I don't real heavy, because I don't think I've ever seen it where I shop for makeup. But I sure am going to ask specifically about it the next time I go shop for my makeup. I'm going to get some stick makeup. Okay, so this is my darker. I'm going to put it on this brush for controlled application. Put it up under here and put it around like so on my ears too, and back here. All right. Actually, I was reading about this case, and actually even the Benjamin Crump case, but I was reading about a case recently here in Atlanta that settled for like multiple millions of dollars, something like $100 million. Or maybe, there was a couple different cases, but this one in particular that I was reading about settled for multiple millions of dollars, and there were like 9 attorneys on the case. But what the clients, even if it's 1 attorney or 30 attorneys on the case, the client's recovery will always be the same. Of course, that's unless you negotiated something different with your attorney. Your fee will always be the same, and you can negotiate to get more or less. It just depends on the circumstances, depends on what's going on in the case. So I wanted to be sure to say that. Now, I wanted to also give you a brief overview of trial. Let me just make this disclaimer at the outset. Everyone's trial will be different. There is no catch-all. Everyone's case is different. Everyone's trial is different. There is no one case scenario. Do not hold me to it. And of course, in these videos, let me just say, I'm never giving you legal advice. I can never tell. Okay, so I was watching this drag queen this morning, and this is how they did their concealer. They put just put it all over my hand, here and here. And last time I noticed, I looked back at these videos and I noticed I totally did not do my powder highlight this last time, but I shall do it this time, I promise. All right, so. Ooh, that does get everywhere, doesn't it? Ooh. I like it though. I like the highlight under the eyes, but let's see how long I can keep it. Oh, and by the way, this guy, he did his makeup and he put the powder on, took it right off just like I do. So I felt vindicated in that. I was like, maybe I should let it bake longer, because I've seen people bake and then they do their eye makeup to catch the fallout. And I haven't been doing that, so anyway. Okay, overview of trial. As a refresher, I overviewed the whole case for you. If you have not seen that video, stop this one right now. Go back and watch this one where I give you an overview of the whole case from the time that you get in the car wreck to the time your case is settled. I give you an overview. So go back to that one. Let me know if you have any questions. So right now I'm going to cut straight to the chase and talk about trial specifically. So as a brief recap though, you got in a car wreck, you can't deal with the insurance company, or they're outright denying liability, saying that this thing was your fault, this wreck was your fault, or they are not going to give you what your case is worth. They don't want to fix your car, they don't want to pay your medical bills, whatever. They're just giving you the rigmarole, and you know that you're not going to be able to resolve your case with them. When I have to do fine precision work, I just cannot talk. That foundation was stopping way before my eyebrow. So, this is when we go to, this just looks a mess. Doesn't it? Okay, I don't have time for this. This cannot be a perfect palette. I'm trying to do a perfectly painted palette for you one morning, maybe one day. That's why you need to keep watching the videos, because one day I'll get it completely right. Oh, and I'm wearing my favorite dress again today. I don't care that it was very recently that I wore this dress. Once folks start buying my clothes, they can tell me how often to wear my clothes. But I love this dress. I feel beautiful in this dress. And it's my favorite, and I'm going to get plenty more like it. And when I wear it, it kind of reminds me, oh, you need to look for more dresses like this, because you really do love this dress. You know, but I just get to work and I get busy. Got so much stuff to do that I forget to look, or, you know, when I'm home, I'm doing other stuff. So I really don't sit down and shop the way that I should. But, and then it's so hard to run across this dress. I found one, like I told you, on Ralph Lauren's website, and I went to go buy it and I couldn't buy it because they only wanted pounds and I have dollars, and getting that converted. I wish I had a good friend in the UK to buy stuff for me. I send you the money, you buy it for me, send it to me. But anyway. Okay, so you're in the wreck. You can't get the insurance company to deal with you in a way that makes any kind of sense. So you have to file the lawsuit. You file the lawsuit, the defendant answers, or you have discovery, you exchange information back and forth. You went to mediation and that didn't work. You took all the depositions, right? Took the depositions, went to mediation, none of that worked. So now it's time to go to trial. There are some things that happen on the inside that you don't really need to know about. We won't go into detail here, but your attorney will be doing different things to prepare you for the trial of the case, getting experts together if necessary, filing pretrial orders and all that kind of stuff to kind of dictate the issues that are at stake, and the witnesses and the documents and the exhibits and all that kind of stuff that will be presented at trial. So, all right. So what happens? Most trials are going to be a jury trial. So you're going to show up. And the first thing that the judge will do, first of all, you should be talking to your attorney the whole way around. Make sure that you're there on time, all that good stuff. But one of the first things that we do is we sit down, we get a jury. The jury is usually going to come in, like it's going to be a couple dozen or up to 100 people, maybe even more on the panel. They come in groups at a time, and your attorney will ask them questions. We're going to ask demographical questions like, where they live and what kind of work that they do. And but first of all, you want to make sure that the jury doesn't know, the potential jurors don't know the judge. That kind of person would be weeded out already anyway. But you want to make sure that they don't know you, any of your family members, your children, or I mean, sometimes if they know you, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but still, you don't want the defense to find out that one of your friends got on the jury panel. That's not a good idea. So, and you also want to make sure that these people do not know the defendant. So, you're going to ask questions. You want to kind of get people who you feel like would be sympathetic or at least neutral or have an open ear to your position. You don't want someone who, for instance, has an occupation where there is insurance claims adjuster. That's probably not going to be good for you in your case. You want to, just ask the questions, kind of get the feel. Sometimes you can get a feel for people. The older I get, the better I am at understanding the psychology of folks, or I think I do. Sometimes I get surprised too as how people are and how they behave. But jury selection is very important. And it takes up a lot of time and makes the case very extensive. If there's no jury, the judge is going to make the decision, which I would submit to you. I would argue that judge trials, bench trials is what they're called, are very fair. And I actually don't mind a bench trial, especially if you have a good judge. Now, if you have one of these old judges in southern, okay, let's just say a country part of town, and maybe you're black, you're from the big city, you may go and get what we call home cooked. You may go and just, there's nothing that you could even say that would be right. So you want to be careful of that. In that kind of situation, it might be better to submit yourselves to the mercy of the jury, but it just depends on the situation. So you'll talk with your attorney on that, but Jury trial and no is usually requested at the outset, and we're always going to request a jury trial for you. Juries, they do their best. If you've ever been on a jury, they do sometimes sit there and they try to make the best decisions. But I have heard horror stories where at the end of the case, the attorneys will do what's called polling the jury, and the juries will just talk about nonsensical things. And some jurors have been known to go home and do their own research, which they are told at the outset that they are supposed to just rely on the information that they get during the trial. But some of them go rogue. They're just human beings. They're human beings just like anybody else. So that is jury selection. You know, it is taking me less and less time to do this makeup. I'm just like basically just looking here like, what? I can't believe. You know what? This is what gets me when I start fooling with those eyelashes and then I forget my powder highlighter. Which we can't forget that again. That will not do. All right, so that's jury selection. And just so you know about how the courtroom is set up, usually the plaintiff is going to sit next to the jury. You look at the layout of the courtroom, you have the judge here, the jury on this side, then you have two tables. Usually the plaintiff is going to sit at the table that's closest to the jury. And so that being said, you kind of know the layout, you know where you're going to sit, and of course your attorney is going to help you with that. And that was another point that I was going to bring up. Okay, so the plaintiff is going to submit their case first. The plaintiff is building the house. Hold on. Usually when, oh goodness gracious, forgot to prime my eyelashes. But anyway, usually we say, in civil litigation, the plaintiff is responsible for building the house. The plaintiff has to put on their bare bones case. They have to prove a couple of things, like in a negligence case, they have to prove breach, they have to prove duty, breach, causation, and damages. They have to prove that the defendant had a duty, that they breached, which caused the plaintiff damages. So the plaintiff has to go first, because if the plaintiff doesn't establish that, we can all go home. So they call it the prima facie case. The plaintiff has to put on their prima facie case. So the plaintiff will, you and your attorney, most likely, probably like 90% of the time, the attorney is going to ask you to take the stand. Now, you've heard that remain silent. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. That's in a criminal case. If you remain silent in a civil case, and that's what a car wreck is, if you remain silent in a civil case, you are not doing yourself any favors. So a lot of times what's going on in a criminal case is completely opposite from the rules that are happening in a civil case. So you do want to go ahead and take the stand. I can't even think of right now, as I'm doing this makeup, I can't even think of an instance where you as a plaintiff would not want to take the stand in a civil case. So your attorney will prepare you ahead of time. Look, you're going to be giving your testimony. Here's what you need to say. Here's what you need to remember. Oh, wow. Oh my God, I love these. Indeed. I think I fall in love with these lashes more and more every time. I think a magnetic lash, where have you been all my life? I got all of these glue lashes and Lord, who can I give them to? Because I'm doing magnetic. If you want these lashes that I got, I am so serious. I got Huda Beauty. And I got New Cali, Natural and Wispy. I do not want these. So if you want these lashes, oh my goodness, because these magnetics are the bomb. Did I curl? I don't even remember if I curled. They have curled them off camera. I don't remember. Oh my God, these are the bomb. And you know what? To me, I don't even care how it looks straight up, because I don't want this stuff in my eye. So I don't even care if it's floating a little bit over my actual natural lash line. Fine with me. But I just love that they go on just about where they need to go, and they give me an enhanced. Okay, need to clean this up a little bit. Ooh. Oh no, cleaned it up too much. Lord Jesus, Lord help her. Where'd it go? Just a little strip down. Oh Lord, may have spoken too soon. But I think it's a operator's fault. About that, I could leave it, make it like I have a little beauty mark there. But okay. All right. You know what? That's as good as it's gonna get this morning. Okay. Okay, what was I talking about? Oh, you want to testify. So you and your attorney will put on your case first. You will testify. I don't know if your attorney's going to have you go first or last. So typically it's going to be you, somebody who can talk about your injuries in the case, maybe a family member to talk about how this has impacted your life or how they have observed the change in you. Just depends on the exact situation that you're in as to who's going to testify. The defense at that point, they have a chance to stand up and they'll say, Judge, go ahead and dismiss this case right now. We don't believe that the plaintiff has put on the prima facie case and dismiss this case. Most times the judge is going to be like, look, we're all here. They're not going to say this, but this is the thought. Look, we all are here. We all got dressed up in our clothes. We're going to see this through. I mean, and it is the rare case where you would have gotten all the way to trial and don't have a way to establish your prima facie case, because usually that kind of issue would have been resolved in motion. It's called a motion for summary judgment. The defendant should have filed if the plaintiff truly did not set forth a prima facie case. And if that's the case, this case could have been defeated on motion and could have kept everybody home instead of having to, get together, get up, get dressed, come on down to the courthouse. Oh, and by the way, I think that there's probably a situation where there would be a trial via Zoom. I don't know if that's happening. I have not heard about that here in Georgia. Maybe happen. I could conceive of there being some jurisdiction somewhere where we're having trials via Zoom. I think it would be a very, 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 very bad idea. I mean, I don't know. I thought working from home was a very bad idea. So maybe having a trial via Zoom is not so bad or revolutionary. But anyway, so the defendant will stand up, ask for what's called a directed verdict, say, Judge, the plaintiff has not put on their case and we are entitled to a directed verdict. And the judge will say no, and the defendant will move on with their case. So the plaintiff builds. The plaintiff is building the house. All the defendant has to do is tear it down. That's the defendant's case. So you can just think about building a house is hard. It takes a couple of months sometimes. I guess weeks if you're really motivated, but it takes a long time to build a house. To demolish, all you need is a good wrecking ball, start a fire, whatever. Doesn't take much to tear down a house. But so that's all the defendant has to do, and their job is very easy. I've heard of defense attorneys who are like, I won 100% of my cases. Well, that's not very hard to do at all, because all you have to do is tear down this carefully constructed structure. And sometimes they are very successful at doing it. So, do I want to do a deep clean of my brushes this weekend? Probably just these two. Yeah. But okay, I'm going to clean my brushes. Okay, so the defendant puts on their case. And then the plaintiff could stand up after the defendant puts on their case. And when I mean put on their case, I mean they have experts. Usually it's a battle of the experts. If liability is not an issue, it's just damages or the extent of the damages, the trial will amount to a battle of the experts, which is, who do you believe? Do you believe the plaintiff's expert, or do you believe the defendant's expert? So they'll have an expert on. They may submit their own medical evidence. They may have, if it's not a battle of the expert, they may have fact witnesses who will say, oh no, the wreck happened this way or it happened that way. So you just never know. Just depends on the case as to what the defendant has. The plaintiff will stand up and ask for a directed verdict and say, hey, judge, the defendant didn't put up a defense. Go ahead and rule in my favor. Usually the judge will be like, no, we're all here. We're going to let the jury decide this. The judge won't specifically say that. The judge will just deny it. And then the defendant will stand up again and say, hey, judge, look, we've set forth our case and we think we've done a good job and we're entitled to it. I already sprayed this brush and I just used it on my face. Oh, Terry, pay attention to what you're doing, child. Let's see. Okay. Anyway. So then the after the judge has denied all of those motions, the case will go to the jury. And the jury will make a decision. The jury comes back with their verdict. And there are a couple of different things that can happen. Woo. Oh, I hate that. My stuff just dropping on the ground. There's a couple of things that can happen with that. The jury can decide in your favor. The jury can decide for the defendant. If the jury decides for the defendant, the case is over. If they decide in your favor, you'll get a judgment. Then you have to collect on the judgment. If the defendant, no matter which way it goes, the defendant can appeal if it didn't go their way. The plaintiff can appeal if it didn't go their way. And it's just an entree. And of course, again, at any point in time, the case can settle. The case can settle even after the jury has rendered its verdict. All right, so I forgot to say this at the beginning, but I hope that you have been hydrating throughout this whole video. I have not, of course, I've been up here running my mouth, so I haven't hydrated. If you have not, go and get your water right now. Let's go ahead and take a hydration break. This is my feels good to get stuff done cup. And we sip. Water is so good for you. It is so delicious, and I love that warm water. I got plenty of this stuff left. Y'all, I'm about to give up. I've got to get in these bottles and get this product. I cannot let it go. I got these two. Anyway. All right, last but not least, are you all ready? Oh, by the way, no good documentaries. I started watching this one on Audrey Hepburn on Netflix. I think that I can enjoy that, but I was too into TikTok at the time I was trying to watch it, so I didn't finish it. So we'll see about that one next time. All right, let's do our last little section on Howard Hughes. He couldn't take it with him. Howard Hughes died without a will, although he had kept his aides in line for nearly 2 decades by dangling the promise of a fat windfall upon his death. In the end, his giant estate was inherited by some cousins. Hughes left another legacy, his long list of achievements. He built the first communication satellite, the kind used today to link the far corners of the world. His Hughes Aircraft Company greatly advanced modern aviation, and he produced award-winning movies. However, the full extent of his influence on the world will probably never be known. All right, so that's a good way to tie this up. So the next time we're going to talk about late night comedians. No. Looks like Cleveland. I don't know. So it looks like Cleveland we'll be talking about. So, what do I want to say? Wrapping this up, I think I've done my makeup in record time. I'm going to remember something I've forgotten, I think. I don't know. But I hope you all have a lovely, wonderful day. I certainly will. I'm going to get back to my Sex and the City podcast. Going to book it to work. And so that I can get as much compensation for my clients as I can. So again, I hope that you all have a lovely day. I certainly will. And I will see you all next time for more legal tips and makeup.